When you've got a discovery call to do with a potential client, it's a really exciting opportunity to share a little bit about who you are and what you do and why you're passionate about coaching, but also to get to know somebody new and understand a little bit about what it is that they're coming to coaching for and what they're struggling with or what they're wanting to work on. So it's a really lovely opportunity to start with a blank sheet of paper with someone. So how do you go about doing a discovery call? So I want you to think about this in three phases. The first phase is the preparation. So obviously somebody's reached out to you from somewhere. So having a sense of where they're coming from. Sometimes the referrals have come through a directory, for example, or through a friend or a colleague, or through a completely different route. So knowing where somebody is coming from can be a bit of an indicator about what kind of thing they might be after when they meet you. You might also have had some communication already, whether that's by email or through one of the directory sites or through another organisation that's doing some liaison and putting you together. So that's always interesting as well. So there'll be a bit of sort of upfront contact making for you to organise your discovery call. But sometimes it's possible that someone's booked straight into your diary via your website or something, and you actually really don't know anything about them at all. So go into it with a kind of fresh, open mind. Try and be prepared as best you can to just meet them where they are and be your best self. At the end of the day, if somebody's buying your coaching services, they are buying you. So try and just sort of bring yourself into the best version of you that you can present to them on the day. So that's the prep work. When you actually get to the call itself, there are a few things that you can do to really make that go smoothly. So first of all is be clear about your offer to them. So you might need to explain to them what coaching is and what it isn't, just to clarify their expectations. You might want to understand whether they've ever had any coaching before, whether they have any therapy, whether they've got anything else going on in their life that might be influential on the coaching process with you. So you're understanding their world, their context, their issue, their struggle, and what it is that they actually want to get out of the coaching process with you. So what are they coming to you for? Sometimes people will tell you some stuff on this call that gives you a sense of what they're after. Just always hold in mind that it might not be actually the case of what they're trying to talk to you about. And so just like hold that lightly, go with a kind of like curious, open mind to it and see what else comes up through the remaining sessions. And then once you get into it, there's your opportunity to really share a little bit about who you are and your reasons for being a coach. So you can share with them your credentials, your qualifications, your insurance, your professional membership status. You can share with them a little bit about your style, your approach, what they can expect from you in terms of the coaching approach that you take. So for example, I tend to be quite sort of gentle and facilitative, more on the kind of warm and warmly challenging kind of way, rather than some people are much more directive, they're much more expert, they tell people what they need to do. So there's nothing wrong with either. I mean, there's horses for courses, everybody's got a place in this professional coaching space. So just be honest about the kind of style that you offer. Mine is strongly about sort of offering people different perspectives, and but I would say I'm a cheerleader. You know, I tend to be in someone's corner and trying to support them the best I can. So I'm quite a positive coach, I hope. So tell them a little bit about your approach, your style. Tell them a little bit about the logistics and how that type of stuff might work as well. So how often do you normally meet? How does the arrangements for that work? Do you book a whole series in advance, or do you take it ad hoc and one by one? It doesn't really matter what your answer is. Just be really honest and upfront with somebody about how you like to do things. Ultimately, what you're trying to do is give them the tools to be able to make the choice in terms of whether you're the right coach for them or not. You might also want to be thinking about some of the boundaries that you want to set up front. So for some coaches, they're really not keen on the idea of any contact between sessions. And for other coaches, it's quite an important part of what they do is to have WhatsApp or Instagram conversations going on in the background too. So just again, think about what's important to you and what might be important to the client in terms of the information that they need to make a decision about whether you're the right fit for them. So that's during the session. Try and get to know them. Try and sort of make sure that you've shared enough about yourself that they get a sense of who you are. I do like to share a little bit about kind of my situation, my background, all of that type of stuff. So I'll tell them about the kind of work that I do, the kind of clients that I support, the kind of family environment that I have, so that, again, they're just getting a sense, a flavour of who you are and And I often tell people about my dog or my cat so that they're aware that if they're having coaching with me on Zoom, then there might be the odd pet featuring in the background at times. So, again, just, share whatever you think is important. If you were going to go and see a client or a coach for the first time, what information would you benefit from knowing from them up front? So once you've done that and you've given them the chance to ask you questions as well. So some people will come with quite a lot of questions. Some people might request some testimonials from other people or references. Some people might have some idea about what coaching credentials or modalities you cover. So they might be asking you really specific questions about that. And just do the best you can with answering those things, but always give them space to kind of ask you and take the lead in it. You want them to feel like it's their space, not yours. So once you've done that, there's a bit of closing. So make sure you've agreed with them how they can pursue the relationship if they want to take it, but also that there's no pressure if they don't want to. It's really critical that people who want coaching or therapy find the right person for them, and it might not be you. And we need to be completely okay with that. There's lots of really great people out there that can provide fantastic support. It doesn't have to be you all of the time. So just, for me, it's really important to say that you support coaching as a whole, and that even if you're not the right person, that there are lots of other people out there who will be able to help them if you're not a personal fit for them. So once you've done the call and you're doing the follow-up, let's just think about what we have to do to decide whether we really want to work with that person. So you will have got a sense from the conversation about whether that person is the right person for you. You will have got an understanding a little bit of what kind of issues they might be bringing, but also a little bit about whether that fits with the kind of competencies and capabilities that you are offering too. So there's nothing wrong with being a little bit in a stretch situation where you're like, oh, I don't know, this is a little bit more than I'm used to dealing with, but I think I'm okay. That's a really different experience to going, actually, Joe, this person is bringing something that I'm convinced I am not capable of doing. You really need to know your own boundaries of competence. What can you do and what can't you do? At what point would you need to say, actually, do you know what? I'm not the right person for you. I'm not trained in the things that I think you're going to need help with. And likewise, if it just doesn't feel right, there's something in that kind of gut instinct that we really need to listen to. It doesn't automatically mean that you have to take it seriously and believe every bit of that gut instinct. You need to engage your head and your heart in that decision. Is it a kind of confidence issue, or is it actually something that's more about your competence? So again, just engage head and heart in that process and really think about, am I sure I want to work with this person? Does it feel good? Do we feel like we're going to have a good relationship? I always start these discovery calls as though this person and I are going to be in a relationship. Do I want to be in a relationship with that person? Not in a kind of, long-term kind of way, perhaps, but you are going to get to know each other pretty well, or you're going to get to know them as the coach pretty well. So just bear it in mind, you're not just doing a one-off kind of approach. This is, can we work together? Will we be good for each other? Can you be open and honest and yourself with me? Can I hold that space effectively for you? So you are in that kind of reciprocity with the person as you're choosing. And then just have a think about kind of how you're going to follow up with them. So you might want to drop them an email afterwards. You might want to drop them a text message afterwards. You might just need to do nothing and sit back and wait. If they don't contact you, don't worry about it. Quite often what happens is people go away. They've got other things they need to think about. They need to decide whether they're prepared to make the commitment to the change. They need to think about the investment they're making in themselves. We have no idea really what's going on in people's lives. So if you don't hear from somebody on a discovery call, don't sweat it. It's not probably about you. It's much more about them, and they're doing their processing. And they might have found somebody better than you or different to you. They might come back to you in a few days, weeks or months. And that's it, absolutely fine. So don't sweat it. Hold it lightly. What will be, will be. Have you done the best job that you could do to give that person a flavour of who you are as a coach and the support that you could give them? If you've done that, then you've done a good job. And anything else over and above that, if they come back to you as a client, they want to work with you, brilliant. But all we're trying to do is just to reach out, make a connection. If the connection feels great, great. If the connection doesn't feel like it's working equally on both sides, then it's probably not the right person for you. And just wait for the next one. I hope that's helpful. Ask any questions in the comments below.